What's up, everybody? Welcome to Life with the Corrys, a podcast about love and making the most of things. I'm Cicely Corey.
And I'm Darius Corey. Nope, not doing it.
Oh my gosh.
I'll do it at like 500 subscribers.
500 subscribers.
We do that. And how the YouTubers do it.
Y'all hear him, right?
We
All
gotta
right.
beat you all.
Right. Yeah. 500 subscribers. And we will start doing the high five intro. Y'all do it for me, please.
Hold me to it. How's life treating you, baby?
Life is treating me, oh man, very well. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at like an 8.5.
Okay.
And it's weird because I feel oddly energized today. Yesterday I wasn't feeling so well, but today it's got like a odd energy to it.
Is there a reason why? I feel like I can guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had my first class today for seminary. For those of you who don't know, I am attending Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, and today was my first class. It's an Old Testament class, and yeah, it was just good to like get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It's weird how, when you think of first day of school, you think of going to school.
Yeah.
But essentially in this case, you just went upstairs.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So I got to get my office situation in order better than it is because most of my classes are in the evening. So, and I can't be down here in my usual office. We'll figure it out though.
But yeah, I know I wasn't, I didn't sound as excited when you were going through it, but I was excited for you. It's like the first step of many.
Yeah. I appreciate you, boo.
Yeah.
Getting the kids together and things.
Listen, just make space for these type of opportunities.
Yeah. How's life treating you?
Life is treating me cool. I think, all right, scale of 1 to 10, I would say, honestly, it's about a 7.
Okay.
Lately, I've been really wanting to illustrate. I've been wanting to paint. I've been wanting to draw. There's deadlines that are coming up for contests and things like that. And I am leaning less away from graphic designing and more into illustrating.
Yeah.
And I just want to do it almost to the point we talked about. Remember I said I want to just take a week off and just create.
I support it.
And so I am back in that mind state, and I'm like not anxious. I don't know if anxious is the term for it, but I am eager to start that.
Yeah.
But I have to do it in a way that is not just go in the room and just start drawing. I need to map out this whole thing because there's Black Boy Art Show. There's contest deadlines that I'm really confident about for several reasons that are coming up. So those are quick cash grabs. But more importantly, I just want to get my portfolio back up. It was a particular independent comic book company that is hiring for artists. Right. And I realized, though I'm excited to do it and we have somewhat of a relationship, I don't have a portfolio.
Not an illustrator portfolio.
Not at all.
Sure, yeah.
Like I have drawn loosely for the past 2 years, but nothing to really exhibit my sequential art skills.
Yeah.
And it kind of was a punch in the chest because I was like, man, I don't have anything new to give them that says, hey, I can take on this position. So
right. And of course, knowing that you actually can't take on the position, you just can't show for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like having a portfolio is always where I get stopped. And so I got to realize I can get back in the studio. So
yeah, it's funny because I kid you not, babe. Earlier today, I was just thinking about you in illustrating, and I actually have an idea. I'm not gonna share it on the air because it's really good. But I had an idea that came to mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll like always we'll rap about it.
Yeah.
In bed, but yeah, it's not. I think 7 seems about average, but that is because I'm not I am eager to start doing something more in, like we talked about, leaning more into the illustrative space and less into the graphic designer space, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you said it, so.
I know. You'll hold me accountable to it. Keep that pressure on me.
Cool.
So if you all don't know, this is a slight change in how we're doing things. We don't have a mic. This is what we call it, the late night edition.
Oh, wow.
The baby making edition.
Okay, all right.
It's not really that. But it's not exactly that, but we are talking about when life has you wanting kids.
Yeah, wanting kids. Yeah. So we discussed we discussed whether or not we wanted to have kids pretty early on. Like, I don't even know if we were married.
Yeah, again, our process or our progression into our relationship was, what do you call it? not in the order that it is traditionally. Like we
Yeah.
were, before we really put a title to who we were talking about kids.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I was like talking about it within the context of having kids with you, but in my mind, I knew that that could be a possibility. So I was like very clear on, my.
Yeah, I know that your aspirations of what type of kids you wanted was made clear.
Oh yeah, I wanted some curly haired babies.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished.
mission accomplished.
But
But I said that jokingly. I wasn't,
fair. I know you're a very ambitious person.
Oh my
You go
goodness.
after what you want, and you did.
Okay.
But I do remember vaguely the conversations of what type of kid, how many kids we wanted, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it wasn't long before it transitioned to our kids in our
Yeah.
in our dating, which I'm happy about. But
Yeah, I remember saying that I wanted 2 kids, and you said you wanted 3, and I was like, which is funny. We'll get to that about we now got 2, and I want 3.
Yes. But yeah, and when we dated, we talked like I said loosely, and that was just along the package of what our future looked like relationally.
Yeah.
Marriage, career, travel, and kids.
And then once we finally, I mean, of course we got married, but like one thing that we wanted to do was travel a little bit, enjoy each other a little bit. So we were probably like 2 years into our marriage before we like made the decision to have kids.
Right, which was the plan. We said that we would take 2 years to, like you said, enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
Travel, which we did, and then I think when we got to the point where we were comfortable, we were settled in our house. We were like, okay, let's do this.
It's funny you talk about our house because we bought this house with the intention of like filling the rooms.
Yes.
And when we first got married, we moved into my house, and it just didn't feel like our space.
No.
And so it was really cool to like search for this home. And I think that's when we were really starting to have the conversations. I'm like, okay, that was probably like year 1.5. Well, we were probably 1.5 maybe.
Yeah, we were not at the Charlotte house for longer than 2 years.
Yeah. So we were closer to the decision of, our benchmark of like, okay, this one we're gonna start having kids.
And even so, I think a lot of the reasons why we wanted to get out of that house was because it was not big enough for the family that we wanted.
Yeah.
And so I think when we made the transition to this house and got settled in it, we went from a 3-bedroom to now a 5-bedroom house. So, the room for what we wanted was far more clear. So when we got settled, we were like, okay, this room is still empty and we are 2 years in.
Yeah. But I'm glad that we waited.
Yes.
I'm glad we waited. And I think that's probably that's like advice that we give people all the time. It's like, you get married, enjoy each other for a little bit, because once you have kids, it does change the dynamic of everything.
Absolutely.
And it makes it's not impossible, but you have to just be more intentional about like creating moments and.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we were married, we were husband and wife. When we had a kid, now it was mom and wife.
Yeah.
Dad and husband. And we didn't really have that blend down, especially when Haven was much younger. It was, all right, I need to be a dad for this amount of time. And then maybe 20-30% of the day I could be a husband.
Yeah.
And as he got older and we got the hang of this whole parenthood thing, we were able to blend being companions and being parents at the same time. But yes, there's definitely, a lot of people say prior to is like, enjoy each other now because when you have kids, the dynamic change. And it was never cliche. Like everyone said it to the point where it was enough that was a very true statement. And it is.
Yeah. And another thing that was really good, because of how our first year went, it made sense to wait.
Yes.
Like we had to make sure that we were okay.
Yeah.
Like, that we were okay as individuals and also as a unit. And I don't think we really talked about finances. That's the one thing that, I think people can get caught up on. It is very important to plan and make sure you have money for your kids. But we didn't really consider that. And I don't even think now we would consider it. We just kind of assume that like, all right, if we say we want to have kids, he'll make a way for us to be able to provide for them. Yeah.
I think exactly what we were both in our area of livelihood, like in our careers. You were a journalist. I was doing graphic design to an extent. I wasn't a graphic designer at the job that I was at, but we were getting there. So, we saw the Lord moving in our behalf, and we had aspirations of progressing in that area. So we knew, like you said, it was a point where it was like, God got us. We're doing pretty good. We're not hurting.
Yeah, we weren't hurting.
We're in a bad place, and we knew that we were on a certain trajectory. So finances, like the financial compensation wasn't like, all right, let's clear the table and let's talk it out.
Yeah.
But
kids are expensive though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we had, we started putting the plan in motion of having a kid. So we were trying to have children.
Yeah. And
I think, initially, from my perspective, when we started, in my head, it's like, all right, without going into too much detail, all right, once we have started, it's on. Like, she's going to, in a couple of weeks, she's going to be telling me she's pregnant.
Yeah, it didn't work that way.
Yeah. Like, to me, it just felt like we broke the threshold from, all right, we went from trying to we're now in the realm of parenthood.
Right.
And that's when we realized that it wasn't that smooth of a transition.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. And I think I didn't really expect that.
Right.
And I don't know why. It just was like, we're both healthy or, so we assumed. Yeah. And, we know how to make babies. And it just felt like it would just be automatic. And it wasn't. It took us longer than we thought to conceive, to the point that I started fertility treatment for a little bit. And I think I went 2 or 3 months, and by the third month we conceived. But yeah, it became like this experience where we were starting to question, like, all right, God, you trying to tell us something?
Yeah.
Like, there was even a point where we were having conversations this was kind of a little bit of a dark place, but where I was wondering if God was like punishing me.
Same.
And, trying to teach me like this really hard lesson by not giving me what I desired. Like, we really wanted to have kids, and it just was not happening. And it was a point where I felt really far from God, and I really felt like, yeah, this was just like the hand of God saying no.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get this. And it took a minute for me to even like come around to believing that it wasn't God's plan. Like, even after I got pregnant, but we had people around us who were faith-filled and praying for us. And listen, it was a whole lot of hands on wombs. And
I was about to say, I don't remember how long it got to where we were like, we need more intervention, more than just medical, but like supernatural, because
they won't start you until it's been at least a year of trying. So
right.
It was at least a year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair. Mm-hmm. Wow. So it was a year that we were trying.
Yeah. It was a while.
Okay. But yeah, to your point, we had conversations with our leaders of our church. Our first lady was literally praying over your womb.
Yeah.
Every time she had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because she saw how pretty much it was putting us through. And to kind of piggyback off what you said, same with me. I had my battles with lust and sexual immorality, and it impacted our marriage. And so when we were still healing from that, and we were like, all right, and jokingly but not jokingly, I think we conceived in the time where I wasn't really deservant.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I probably. I mean, let's be real. We were having sex because we were trying to conceive, and less of, hey, you earned this.
I remember the month that we conceived.
I was in the doghouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we were, you had a schedule. You had biologically you had a schedule. It was like, all right, we still want kids, so beyond what we're going through, we're gonna stick to our plan.
Yeah, so we were doing good, and then we weren't, and then we were. It was kind of that's a whole nother story for a whole nother episode.
Right.
But I remember, and it was like, okay, so just I'm gonna say this, and then we can move on. In terms of like conceiving, so like our fertility journey, like I know people who have had far more, of a tough time conceiving, and some who didn't conceive at all. And so I don't want to like make it seem like we had this like really emotional. I mean, it was emotional, but I guess I'm just trying to be mindful of those who are still going through a journey like this. Like, no matter what your journey of conceiving looks like, it is important, it is valuable. And I'm not saying that ours is any more important than anybody else's. I just want to say that. And that made me lose my train of thought. So
no, that is a good point though. I think that before we go slide past that part,
yeah,
I think we definitely, there was a moment where we were exposing our selfishness because we both thought that, oh, it's my fault that we cannot conceive kids. Never thinking about, or not at the time thinking about, is this God's timing?
right. Yeah.
We talk about how God is responsible for life, and for us to be like, well, clearly because I am not bringing this life into the world, then there's something I'm doing wrong. And I know for me, like I said, I spent more time thinking about what I've done to not make this, to not be able to make this kid, that I wasn't thinking about, was this his timing? And to be honest with you, I can't remember when I was like, all right, well, maybe this isn't God's timing. And maybe it was for a second. Maybe for a while I was like, all right, baby, it's okay. In efforts to comfort you and kind of convince myself, I was like, this is not God's timing.
Yeah.
But I still got impatient all right, Lord. But, again, I was on my timing and not God's.
Yeah, I think when making a decision to have kids, like, I think we really underestimated how much, like, our faith, how big of a role our faith would play into that. Yeah. I think we just assumed that if we made the decision that God would just be like, all right, cool, boom, kid. Yeah. And maybe there's a little bit of that in all of us who want to have kids, where we think that God is just going to happen because, children are a gift from God and God wouldn't withhold this. But you just never know, excuse me, you just never know the type of journey that God is writing for you in terms of what parenting looks like for you. Yeah. And whether that's written into your story at all. I'm grateful that it was written into our story for us to eventually be able to conceive. Right. But there are women out there where that's not their story, or that story has not come yet. And yeah, hopefully this will be a little bit of encouragement. But I think no matter what the outcome of, like, I guess the journey of having kids, well, no matter what that looks like, I think that now that I'm on the other side of it, I can see how the journey of bringing life or attempting to bring life and what comes after that can, like, draw you closer to God. Yes. Absolutely, it drew us closer to each other. Yeah. So.
But I can also say that it was probably really hard to be like, well, just wait on God.
Yeah, I know.
Wait on God when there's a period where you're ready to be parents.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, but this is not God's time. You almost don't want to hear it. I know I didn't, especially after a year. Yeah. If I'm not hearing something, if I'm not getting something, can I hear something? And when I wasn't getting either, I was like, whoa, have I been ostracized?
Exactly.
From God?
Yeah. That was definitely a time of, like, I mean, we could sit here and say that it was an easy time that we went through and we rested on God's timing and praying and all of that. But yeah, there were moments where we both had to consider, what if we can't have kids? Yeah. What if that is our journey and we need to be content with that? And so there did come a time where I feel like my heart sort of changed, where I'm like, all right, God, whatever you would have it to be, that's what it will be. I also remember my thought was that all this time when we weren't conceiving, we were having sex, like, very often. Yeah. And then the 1 month where that was, again, he was in the doghouse. So there's probably only like one or three nights that I liked him. Mm-hmm. And that was the month that when we really weren't, like, actively trying, so to speak, was the month that it happened. I remember that.
I was about to say, where we conceived.
Oh yeah, we're not getting into that. We're not getting into that. We're not getting into that.
I want to say
we both know, but we're not getting into that.
Would you say that's where we conceived?
I think so, probably. If not, it was it was shortly after that. Do not mention it. Do not say it.
Y'all let me know.
Do not say it.
If y'all want to know, I'll tell you.
No, I know.
We conceived. Anyway, so, fast forward to I come home from work one day and I walk upstairs and I'm going into our bedroom.
I was so stressed.
My wife comes out of the room and she is right in my face and she grabs my hand and put it on her chest. And her chest, I could see my hand moving by how hard her chest was, her heart is beating. And that is because in her left hand she has pregnancy tests.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant with our now Haven.
Yeah, our 5-year-old.
Yes, of course. You all take several. You took like I think 3 pregnancy tests that day.
Oh yeah, it was. I had them things on subscribe and save. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
So if y'all want to see how we revealed that to our parents, we do have that video for Haven.
Yeah.
Did we make one for August?
We did not. I tried to. I only have footage of my mom, which I may.
And I think you might
if you all want to see it, let me know. I have
my mom too.
I have your mom
right there.
and I have my mom. And then I was trying to get my stepmom and my dad's, but I couldn't get my cameraman to really be a part of it. So it was kind of messy. Yeah. I'll try to get it up. We'll see. Let me know if y'all want to see it.
Yeah, so the us sharing with our parents is a video. Yes. And then also
I'll link it in the description.
Yeah, and our birth story, which a lot of people want to know. That I think is a whole nother episode for sure. Yeah. Of us talking about our natural birth and all of that, because people have a lot of questions about it and stuff. But y'all can check out those videos.
Okay. So we'll fast forward.
We can fast forward, honestly. Oh man, there's also, gosh, it feels weird to like breeze over our miscarriage.
Yeah.
So, we had Haven.
We hit 2 years for Haven.
We knew that we wanted to like space them out a little bit, so we hit 2 years, and I'm like, okay. Time again. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'll be honest, like all of that is kind of a blur.
Yes.
But I will say this about the miscarriage. I was 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like 7.5. But I remember when we went to the doctor and when, the ultrasound technician is like, I don't even know if that's the right word for them. But I don't mean to undermine that profession. Very, very important. Mm-hmm. But you could tell that, she was trying to like finesse saying it. But that's what our tattoos are about. We've talked about that.
There's a video about that as well.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I just will share and then I'll move on because I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. Is that I actually passed the baby. And so I decided to just I guess pass the fetus. At that point it would have been considered a fetus. I decided to pass it as opposed to going into the hospital and they do, I forget the abbreviation for it, but it's similar to like an abortion where, yeah. But one interesting thing, like when it happened and trigger warning, we should have, trigger warning, I'm sorry. If this is going to trigger you, then just fast forward about 2 minutes. One thing that I don't know why it happened this way, but it was oddly like comforting to me. So when you're going through a miscarriage, I won't go into the details, but I guess I'll just say this. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it, but like the baby fell into my hands. Let's just put it that way. And then I'm not talking about it wasn't like a baby, but the what was left of my child fell into my hands, and I didn't expect that to happen, nor did I like know that could happen. Like I didn't expect it to be that substantial. But yeah, it was like this oddly satisfying. I've never told you this. It was like this oddly satisfying, or comforting, not satisfying, comforting thing to where it could have happened any other way. And then I just like gently put it down. And then I don't know if I'm even going to leave this in. We'll see. But yeah, because I don't know if it's like too graphic. And I really don't even know if I'm just saying it out loud more for you than I am for them. But it was a really meaningful moment of like, I don't know, me just feeling like I released something that was still my child, and then let it go.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. I mean, I think in that moment I felt so powerless.
Yeah.
That anytime I tried to not interfere but interject myself for sake of, because I'm always about making you feel better.
Yeah.
To the point where I always feel like I have to fix when you are down.
Yeah.
But I knew that this was something that I felt like you had to experience, and you needed the space to deal with it. I didn't distance myself from you, and I didn't abandon you, of course, but I knew that I could not do anything that could make you, well, I could, but I couldn't do all I wanted to because I didn't have the answers.
Yeah.
And so that whole process, I just gave you the space that you needed because I knew that anything that I tried to do would just be interference in my head. So yeah, that whole process, I didn't, you notice I never asked about how that worked. You just told me, hey, I passed it today. And I was like, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Because I rubbing your back and saying, oh baby, it felt like it was just intrusive.
I remember telling you when I felt like it was about to happen though. Because it is very much like giving birth.
I wasn't home when you did it. I think you had did it. You had passed.
I can't remember. I really only remember that moment.
Okay.
We can fast forward. Yeah. Let's go.
But the better thing about that situation was how you were able to encounter women who had been through what you've been through.
This is true.
That not a village wasn't built around you, but you realized, one, that you had people that could let you know that it was more common than you think, unfortunately, and that, that you weren't, that you had people close to you. Yeah, like I'm thinking of all the majority of the people close to us that's had kids has miscarried, and how normal it is. I hate saying normal.
Yeah, no,
but it happens often. So I was grateful for that.
Me too. And it is something that is not widely talked about. And the women that I knew that opened up to me about it, most of them had never opened up until they found out about it. Was kind of like, oh, well, let me share my story. It's not something that you just kind of come out and say. And I don't know how we get kind of past that, but
phone, my watch. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
All the noise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's not the point of this podcast. And I say that because I feel like that was such a difficult time that it deserves more space and time.
Yeah.
And that's not really the heart behind this episode, but we did experience a miscarriage, and it was very pivotal for our relationship, for our marriage, and just for, where we are now.
Yeah, we were able to get away. We had a little bit of rejuvenation, restoration when we went to Hawaii, I think.
Yes. Was that Hawaii?
I believe so.
Wow. Yeah. Now, the second time was quick.
Yeah, she didn't have time. Apparently, you didn't have time to really kind of set it up the way you wanted to, I think.
I don't know, baby.
No. It was the baby that went with God that you didn't have time to set it up for.
Yes.
But this one, you had Haven's shirt that said,
"Oh yeah, the our angel child."
Yes. You just brought the pregnancy test.
I just said, "Here, we pregnant."
But yeah, Haven had his shirt on, and I was like, you don't come on now, you don't process. Like I said, I process big moments weirdly, and then
you do.
Yeah. So
still getting used to that.
It took me about a day before I really started celebrating that we were pregnant.
With our Augie Bob.
Yes. At the time, my wife swore up and down that it was going to be a girl.
I did. I knew. So with all our kids, we waited until they were born. We did not find out the sex ahead of time, and so it was always like this really cool moment of him announcing the sex of the baby as soon as I gave birth.
Yes.
And I just knew I was having a girl.
You carried Austin differently.
I did.
Austin
had me. Austin. Good grief. August had me stressed.
Yeah, but I feel like you were bigger with Haven, so you carried Haven in a way that
You
traditionally.
mean my belly was bigger?
No, you were bigger.
Oh,
I think you were 182 with Haven.
Hey, chill out now.
I knew that it was on my child, so it's fine. I could say that because I knew that it was my baby that was making her eat all the carrots, grapes.
I feel like, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
But you carried August differently, and I think we both were like, it's a girl. And I think a month before you had August, I was like, it's a boy.
Yeah.
And sure enough, how did that work? I think I woke up, I can't remember. I think I woke up one day and you were bouncing on the ball, and you was like, yeah, go ahead and call Nicole.
Again, golly.
I'm rushing through it. I got you because I was here with it.
Clearly.
You were like, yeah, call Nicole because I feel like I should call Nicole. You were bouncing on the medicine ball, so I called her.
I do remember
Nicole was like, all right, come up. Nicole was our midwife. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, just get her prepped. Come on up. We'll see where she is, blah, blah, blah. So we get in the car. Stark difference between Haven. Haven, she was shivering, like she was tremoring on the way to take him. We went to Statesville. Statesville was an hour commute for both of our kids at the natural birthing center. Cicely was chilling, having conversation with me. She was a bit uncomfortable. We get to the birthing center. She is 8 centimeters dilated. And when Cicely asked how many centimeters did she need to be, they said 9. Start the pool. Yeah. Started the pool, and 2 hours later, out comes our August Levi Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a much swifter process. Haven was 22 hours of labor.
Yeah.
August was 2.
Yeah.
We got there at 11. We were on the road by 11 a.m. We were on the road by 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Because I know.
They ain't put us out or anything. I feel like every time you say that, people like, y'all left that soon?
Yeah.
It's very different giving birth at a birthing center, and it's very different having a natural birth with no medication, no dig on whatever decision you decide. Like, you know, as long as you having a healthy baby, I'm good.
Yes.
But yeah, like the pain and recovery time is a little less, or at least it was for me. And so, you know, yeah.
Shout out to her. She didn't tear. She had no epidural.
Right. We don't need to go through all of this.
A machine. But Natural Beginnings Birthing Center gave us all the time we needed to rest, to lay. But, you know, just like the first time, I knew better the second time. We were like, yeah, I was worked at her pace. Anyway. She was ready to get home. And by 4 o'clock, we were home. So we're now at 2 kids. Do we talk about what's the dynamic of 2 kids, or we just go straight into where we are now?
I think, let's get to what I really wanted to talk about.
Let's go.
Which is when life has you wanting to have more kids.
All right. So before you begin,
okay,
me being the father, I'm like, we got 2 boys, 2 beautiful, strong, just full of energy, full of personality kids. We are working well with these guys to the best we can. We still got, food stuck in places, and I might find some bread and Cheerios in between the seats now and then, but we're doing good, right? Mm-hmm. And so, there's times where I'll run across, I don't know, the rocking chair in August's room, or we'll run across the Snuggle Me or some Swaddles. And I'm like, hey, babe, let's put this out on the curb.
No.
And why is that?
Because what if I need it?
Yeah.
What if I need it? What if I need it? Like the bouncing ball. First off, I'm going to just let you know that, the nursing chair is not, they're going to be 16 and it's still in their room.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere. I don't.
Oh, wait. Brief rewind.
Okay.
When you was bust open at Natural Beginnings,
bust open,
you said, oof, this is it for me. I'm done.
Why are you bringing up old stuff? Ugh. You're bringing up old stuff. Like yeah. I don't bring up your past to you.
Yeah, boss. Once y'all get up out of there.
I did. I was over it with August because, like, he was. I'm like, bro, you right there. Just hurry up. Like, you're right there, and we all know you right there. Just pop on out. And so I was annoyed, and in that I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, this is it. And then I changed my mind.
But you said it. It wasn't like
I changed my mind.
You didn't say it like I'm ready for this to be over type. I went one and done. This was you look at me in my eyes. You was like,
this is it. I know. That's what I'm saying. I admit that I said in the heat of the moment. You say a lot of things in the heat of the moment.
Don't get I'm not saying it like see what your honor. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just I'm kind of padding the reason why I was kind of like, okay, well, let's get rid of this dinosaur that's sitting in August's room.
Yeah, no, we don't. And I changed my mind.
Okay.
I changed my mind.
All right.
I changed my mind. And even now, I still go back and forth about whether I want to have another kid.
Right.
But I think it's because I still have the desire to have another child that I'm like, okay, well, maybe that means I should like leave that option open.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it is a bit of like, I don't know. Oh, it's a bit emotional for me to think about like not,
Right.
having another child.
Right. And I think that's a part of this position of being parents that I can never contest. I can never challenge, because I will never know what it's like to be on your side of growing a child, carrying a child, bringing it to this world, even when, I know that there's a certain connection you have with both of your children when they break your personal space and refuse to get out of it. And so, I see that and I understand it. And it's funny because we've had this conversation. I think what really sparked this conversation for me was shout out to Belief in Fatherhood with Glenn and Yvette. And she talked about how this was, him getting a vasectomy was potentially closing the door of her ever bearing a child again. And I think that moment, it was a punch in the gut for me, because I was like, now I feel like the butthole in just saying, well, that's it, let us do what we want. But
Yeah, I think is balance to it.
Yeah.
For sure. Like we're considering the other, and I don't think that you would be totally upset if we got pregnant again. But I don't know. It's not like I'm trying to convince you or you're trying to convince me. I think we're just kind of resting in this space of like, it will be what it will be.
Yes.
And that's okay. But I don't know if fathers will really ever understand like that dynamic.
I can speak on behalf of all men. We can never, we could never contest whether or not you should be able to have children or not, especially considering what we went through.
Yeah.
Or just, the gift or the blessing that you have of being able to mother.
So you saying you would have another kid?
I was saying I would never tell you no. But what I do know is that my wife / us have aspirations of living a certain type of life. And though I'm not saying that it's not incapable of doing with 3 kids, we do understand that there will be, just like from 1 to 2, there will be a stark difference between 2 and 3. I think we even knew that when we had August, there was a certain level of, all right, now let's put this off until he can do this.
Yeah.
And I think that clock restarts when you have another kid. And let's be honest, I'm 40. You're not 40, but you're close to it. And so I consider how having another kid can change the progression or just the timeline of what we plan to do in life. And that sounds selfish. It does. But I think on a Libra scale, we do have to consider, what our life looks like with 3 kids versus what we have now.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
That conversation, even when I have it beyond you and I, when I have it to other people, again, I'm like, yes. And I hear from people that, my job that say, it's 1 is different from 2, 2 is different from 4, and so forth and so on. Like, just from how we've changed and from the outside looking in, I see how the dynamic will change and how it would affect us.
It'll absolutely change. And that's part of the reason why sometimes I go back and forth about it, because part of me also likes the dynamic of like us being able to evenly split between our 2 boys.
Yes.
I think that is balance. Is that, one is with one, the other can be with the other. And if there's a third, then it's like, ooh, I don't have enough hands for this. I think, I don't know. I never really thought that I would even consider having 3 kids. Yeah. Like, I always was like, I'd have 2 kids, boy and a girl. That was, like the dream that I had. But we ended up with 2 boys, and there's a part of me that's like, could we make a cute little girl?
Yeah. And that's the instinctive question for everyone that hears you have 2 of the same whatever.
Yeah.
Is, are you going to shoot for? Shout out to our neighbors, the Acostas.
Oh.
that finally, after I think they have 3 girls, they finally had that boy.
Yeah, finally had a boy.
And so, even with my cousins who we love, they have 2 boys. They shot for the third girl, or the girl in the third, and they did. And he's like, oh, everybody. Chris has 2 girls. I feel like they'll try again for another one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For us, I just think it'll be another boy. Not again. This has nothing to do. This is not factored in our family. 3 kids would be 3 kids would be 3 kids. But I wouldn't be surprised if the desire for bearing still exists after the third kid.
Maybe, but I think from a health standpoint,
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't. So I think for me, if we haven't either made a decision or slipped up and conceived by the time I'm 40, then I would fully support you getting a vasectomy at that point.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
She said I can get a snip by 40, which is in how many years?
How old am I?
38.
2 years. Okay.
Okay. I'm again, baby. You know how I feel. I'm putting on for the cameras. I'll give you 5 kids you want, but I know you don't want 5 kids.
No.
I'm surprised you want 3, but because of how I can see you are, like you were 2, strong 2. Mm-hmm. I can see the glimmer when you considering the third kid.
Yeah.
And I always want to pour into whatever you aspire to do. But I do know that when all them jokers are in your face, up your shirt, shoving snacks in your face, and you just like, give me my headphones.
Whatever. All right, so let's end with this. Mm-hmm. Let's give some, I don't know if it's even considered advice, but just words for someone the couple out there that, is finding themselves thinking about having kids.
You want me to go first? You want to go first? You didn't think about it?
I presented the question and then I didn't, I don't have an answer. But okay, let's say.
Do you have one?
No.
All right.
That's me thinking.
I have one. One of the strongest memories I have in me trying to conceive and then succeeding in having kids is do not belittle your position or your role in supporting your companion in everything. I know as men, we're very prideful. We, both men and women love to be in control. But when our spouses or our companions are going through something, we feel mandated to be in control of those situations. And not being able to control what you never had control over can interfere with you because of how you deal with it internally versus just working around, bobbing and weaving through what you're dealing with, still trusting God in it and supporting your companion. When we went through our miscarriage, when you were pregnant, when you had the kid, when we were, learning how to be parents, I had to remind myself that I am very important in this process. Even more so supporting you. That I knew that I was vital to you, despite the times I was like, look, I don't have breasts. Mm-hmm. It's 3 a.m. I can't contribute. Mm-hmm. When the kid wanted you 98% of his life, I still knew that just making sure the village around you was prepared was my role. And so I just want men to know that you are very important in where you are with that person. If God has given you the blessing of conceiving or not, still prepare the village or prepare the nest for your companion because that is your role.
Yeah. Dads are definitely needed and appreciated, no matter how much we might, make y'all feel otherwise. But the earlier stages of pregnancy and after giving birth, very important. What I would say is that you're not your parents. You're not your mom. You're not your dad. And I think we can get so caught up when we're thinking about building our own families and, starting to potentially have a kid. I think we can get caught up in wondering or doubting if we're capable. And if we're going to make the same mistakes that our parents made, if we're going to turn out like our parents, or we're going to, for anyone who has a parent or a mom or a dad who didn't get everything right or may have been hurt from certain things, like, I feel like that can carry over into how you perceive parenting, how you think about yourself as a parent. And you really have to get over all of that, because you are your own person and you have your own story and you have your own way of doing things, your own way of how you're going to learn and grow and all of that. And I think for us, it was important for us to realize, like, if we are meant to be parents, we're going to give it our best and we're going to do our best, and we can't be concerned about where we might lack.
Yeah.
We had to like really trust that, all right, God, where I don't get it right, that you'll fill in the gaps and that our kids will be okay. We're not the mistakes of our parents. We're not even the best things of our parents. We're not the worst things of our parents. We are us. We are not our parents. And so I think that would be my advice, to not get so caught up on like trying not to be someone else, or even trying to be someone else. Like, oh, I really want to be like my mom. I really want to be the mother that my mom was, or I really want to be the dad that my father was. Like, create your own story and your own identity as a parent, and you'll value it a lot more and probably learn a lot more about yourself. So
to piggyback off of that, it would be the blessing if you could see where you acknowledge your parenting based on how you were brought up. Mm-hmm. That you can acknowledge how your parents disciplined you, how they responded to you, and if there was areas of improvement that you can attack those things. And not even if it's generational, if it's just, hey, I'm angry at someone who doesn't know how to express themselves, or they don't understand what anger or frustration or sharing is. And as a result, you remember that this is what happened to you when you did this, so this is what you should do to your kids. We are proponents for breaking general curses, general cultural traditions, and just instinctive nature that we experience for sake of being better than our parents. My father always said, do not be like me, be better.
Yeah.
His goal in my life was for him to be a role model, but for him to constantly remind me to be better than what he was.
Yeah.
And so I pray that everyone that is in the path to be parents or are parents has the opportunity to acknowledge where they can troubleshoot their parenting and break those cultural or generational habits that you definitely don't want to pour down to your kids.
Yeah, I like that word better. Generational habits.
Also know, when you make it into parenting, there is no recipe. No one has the golden recipe for parents. There will always be products, methods, all these other, mom hacks. Not everything will work for you. You are bringing something into this world that has never been here before, that is like no one else. Now, there is some, you will find methods and products that will work for your kid, but don't get frustrated over things that you were recommended, that your mom used to do, that someone on social media, that Instagram was doing, that's not working for you. Understand that you have your kid, and you are given the blessing of being able to figure out, to build a relationship through understanding this thing that doesn't know what hunger feels like, or what fatigue feels like, or what cotton feels like. And so you have the blessing of walking them through all of these sensations and not get frustrated in this sack of meat that's just, growing with memory.
Sack of meat. Wow. Is that how you think of our boys?
That's in the beginning, it's just a big, heavy worm.
Yeah, I guess. A heavy worm that's always nursing.
Yeah.
And kids are resilient.
Yes.
Kids are resilient. Yes. They will.
Especially that second one.
Okay. Yeah, the second one, listen, it's a whole lot of things that we won't even say that.
August flipped over this couch.
Recently, yeah.
Like standing up and just Jeff Hardy right over the side. Landed. There's no carpet down here. Fine. No knots or anything.
Kids are resilient. I think that, again, I think this is probably a common thing for me. Like, you can get so caught up in, doing everything right and having all the right answers. I think parenthood, motherhood absolutely brought out like the worst side of my perfectionism. And it's not like that now, but with our first son, like, I wanted to do everything right, and I wanted to be perceived as a good mom, and I wanted to have, what you laughing at?
I'm thinking about how that translated to the second one.
Oh yeah, the second one, at that point I had learned all my lessons about what you need to do and what you can get by without doing. They also had two very different personalities, but yeah, kids are resilient, and you will get through it. Parenthood is hard, but it is not impossible. And if you are intentional, similar to how you want to be intentional with being a good spouse, if you're intentional about how you want to raise up your kids, and you have conversations about what's important to you, between you and your partner, about like values and how you want to raise them and things of that sort, like, embody and endeavor together toward the path. That's all you can do. So yeah. Cool.
Well, I am glad that you all made it this far with us. That sounded weird. I'm glad that you all made it this far with us. If you like it, please like it. Hey, subscribe. You've watched an hour of us. You gotta like us at this point. Can you please subscribe? It's free for you.
Subscribe so that, remember, 500 subscribers and we getting
the corniest high five that we can perceive. Nope.
Oh, rude. Also,
twist.
I meant to say this in the beginning. See my ponytail? Oh man.
See, look at you being goofy. Love you all. Please subscribe to us. It's free for you and does a ton for us.
Put it to the side.
We love y'all.
There you go.